Okay, there we go. Right. 1 second. There we go. Right. So as usual, shenanigans for things of things, and that's not going right. There we go. Right. Yeah. It's always when I switch from like one just a quick bit behind the scenes thing is that I have two basically. Camera's in the wrong place. I have two basically scenes set up, one for gaming, one for this chat streaming, and I have to switch between them when I'm doing the two just because of the way, they have to be set up for like the desktop and all that other gubbins. The downside is they are treated as like almost like two separate programs, and if I make a change on one, it doesn't change the other, which is what you want. But it does mean occasionally when I want to change something, I have to change it on both of them, and sometimes I forget. Right. So like if there's like an update where I've changed the settings for like the microphone on one, or like because there's been a Windows update, I sometimes forget to do it. So I've tried to, and there was a Windows update this week, so it's like yeah. Right, okay, let's get the usual nonsense and tomfoolery out the way. There's not going to be any audio or video from the film we're going to be watching tonight because of obviously copyright reasons. This is just going to be the chat, the watch along, reaction, commentary, whatever you want to call it. And because of that, we have. Again, get it quite right. There you go. We have the synchronized timer right about there, and that basically, as you can see, it's the timer. It tells you exactly what it says on the tin. And the reason for that is like if you're watching it later, you need to pause or whatever. You know exactly what point we're at, or if you've seen this film or whatever you're watching and something interesting is going to happen at say 1 hour 10 minutes or whatever, you can skip forward, skip back, whatever you want. As a part of that, I will do a 5-second countdown lead in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Press play on my screen on my computer, you press yours, and we're synced up to normally within like a second or two, so it works out quite well. Okay, so that's the first thing done, probably the most important. Here comes the second one. Now, I'm a big sci-fi fan, as anybody who knows me. I mean, I'm wearing my freaking NASA t-shirt today. The Thing, and this is the 1982 version. I specified 1982 because I believe there was an older version, which I might be thinking of The Blob. Either way, this is an older film, and the best way I can describe this without being too spoilery. That's the other thing as well, for anybody again who doesn't know, is even if it's a film we have seen before, I do try to watch it as if I haven't seen it before. I mean, obviously there will be some bits where I won't react as if I haven't seen it, sort of thing. But in terms of spoilers, I do try and keep those to a minimum. If I do need to do a spoiler, I'll just push the spoiler alert button, as you can see. Wrong side. There you go. And whatever, fudge me, I'm getting it wrong. There we go, because the camera's flipped. There you go. Yeah, spoiler alert. Yeah. So if you see that, you might want to mute the channel for a little bit, and then once it goes, it's all good. I don't use it that often, but it's handy to have. It's like anything. But anyway, I forgot what I was talking about. Oh yes, yeah. This is a sci-fi film, but it's also a horror film. I would classify this as a cosmic horror film. And in many ways, there's an old book called At the Mountains of Madness. Good story, unfortunately written by a complete racist, known as H.P. Lovecraft. And this is the reason why I remembered. There was an idea going around that the creature that is encountered is based off the Shoggoth, because it's set in the same location, same sort of instances, stuff like that. Right. There we go. We're out of spoiler territory. See, I knew there was a reason why I remembered it. But yeah, this I would say, because it's an older film, there's very little CGI in this. I mean, there is some, but it's that really sort of crude, like line CGI sort of thing. I think 99% of this, maybe even 100% of what you will see when you watch this film is practical effects. So this is not to say that CGI wasn't a thing back then, but it was not. I mean, and there's a tiny little bit in this, but it's all the effects of the thing, which is not a spoiler because it's the title, and everything else that happens in this is all practical effects. So just keep that in mind if you're watching it yourself. Now, because it is practical effects, it does seem to have more, I don't know, it just feels more real to me. Like, because in a way it is real. I mean, maybe they use like stop motion stuff and things like that, but I do not count that as CGI. That's just slow filming in a way. But it is, the reason why I'm explaining all this is because this is one of those few films where I think it does need a bit of a heads up on it, because it is a science fiction horror, I would say cosmic horror, sort of body horror film in a way. There are a few scenes in this which are disturbing, to put it politely. Done very, very, very well, but also very disturbing, especially if you are, if this is not your bag. I'm not trying to put people off. I'm just, if it's a film I have seen before, I have seen this a few times before, that I try to at least give people a warning about anything that could be found or encountered or seen or anything like that. Just because, I've had it myself a few times when there's been a scene, and I have a couple of phobias about things going into my head, like needles, injections, any of that kind of thing. That's a big no for me. And the more graphic it becomes, the more realistic, the more my nope gland activates. Now, this doesn't mean I'm going to run away, but there will be moments, not so much in this film, excuse me, my apologies, there will be moments when I'll be watching a film and just looking at it and going, nope, 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 sort of thing. Just because it's like, yeah, it's a big no for me. So that's basically what I'm sort of trying to give people a warning on, is that if you are watching this on your own, there is some unpleasant scenes in it. Now, with that out of the way, this is also I would also call this not just a general body horror film, but I would also call this a psychological horror because of the nature of what happens in this. Now, there is, I've got to, I know there is a kind of a sequel film to this, which kind of like sets this up, and it explains things more, and it leans more into the sci-fi side of things, which actually, it's not a bad film. I will say that. The sort of prequel sequel to this is not a bad film. I don't personally think it's as good as this particular one. I mean, this is rated on IMDb as 8.2 out of 10, which for a sci-fi film and for a horror film is really freaking good. It is obviously an 18 rated one as well because of all the stuff I was mentioning before. But yeah, if you do get the chance to watch the sequel prequel, not a bad film. But it does lean, like I say, more towards the sci-fi side of things with a little bit of horror. This leans to me towards more like the cosmic horror, the more body horror type of thing. So, which I know, because I've got a few friends, we all like horror films, but each of us likes different types of horror films. Like, one of my friends she likes like the sort of psychological horror. Like, I've got one of my other pals likes the more, mystery type horror of like, the humans, the ones who are the monsters, that type of thing. I'm quite a fan of body horror type stuff, which is ironic considering what one of my number one phobias is. But things. I think that's one of the reasons why I got so interested in like the Alien films as well, because they're kind of body horror because of obviously the whole and whatnot. Which, by the way, Alien Earth, really freaking good if you like that kind of stuff. Right. Okay. So. Let's get myself all queued up. First of all, I'm going to have a little drink. I've got no cranberry juice this week, so I am on the lime juice, which is also quite tasty, good for my kidneys, but it's not cranberry juice. Oh, excuse me. Very refreshing, though. Question. It's lime cordial. It's not lime juice. Lime juice is something different. I would not be able to drink a lime juice. That would be like, like inhaling a lemon or a lime. It would be like, Okay, so... like I said, I'm gonna cue everything up. We do a 5-second lead in, and then we will continue on watch from there. I'll be running my commentary and things like that. If anybody says anything in chat, I will probably miss it because sometimes I miss it, sometimes I don't. But yeah, let's just get everything all queued up. Now, there's some films, especially the older ones, I do sometimes suggest to people to maybe, if you can, or if you can handle it, to put on subtitles, because sometimes the audio balancing is not always good, and like they go from being like really quiet to being really loud and explosions and all that gubbins. You may want to put it on for this one, you may not. Just it's something I tend to do myself. So in fact, I'm going to do it right now. Make sure it's on. It is on. It is on. Good, right. So yeah, 5-second lead in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. Now, obviously, as I say, I have seen this before, but it's yes, flashing images, violence, substance use, alcohol use, and smoking. So it's got everything, but yeah, flashing lights and strobing. Oh, it's given a double warning, right? Yes, Kurt Russell. Music by Ennio Morricone. I think that's how it's pronounced. Todd Ramsey. I'm trying to remember what the budget for this one. It was special effects, makeup, and creative design. Yeah, the FX team did an amazing job in this. Absolutely amazing. Nice understated credits. I think that's what works for it. It's like it doesn't just go ridiculously over top of the credits. It's just like, yeah, these are the people who are in it. This is what's going to happen. Deal with it. Understated. That's the term I was looking for. David Foster. Bill Lancaster did the screenplay. Me now. I'm just saying something. John Carpenter. Yes. That's a John Carpenter. This is one of the films that really sort of got people's attention about him. Yeah. There you go. There's Earth. There's most of the budget. There's alien ship entering Earth's atmosphere over Antarctica. John Carpenter's. It's such a cheap way of doing the intro graphics, but it works. Maybe they had to set fire to it. So, Antarctica, winter, 1982. So yeah, it's going to be chuffing cold. Okay, that 80s synth kicking in there, which they do like to use. Yeah, I know that they were. What's his name? Oh, Del Toro, stuff like that, was going to do an update of the Mountains of Madness, which was going to draw heavily from this film, but it was just never ended up happening, unfortunately. Now, all right, part of me would like to visit Antarctica, just to say I've been. I mean, look at that. It's just like an ocean of ice and snow, and then mountains. Maybe there's a polar bear or penguin. I can never remember which one's which. I know one goes in the other, like one pole or the other one. But just to visit there, just to go to the South Pole, the geographic South Pole, because I know there's like several different types of poles. Oh, hey, you made it. He's a cute doggo. He's a good boy. Look at that doggo. Very well behaved doggo. I've been one of those days. Fair enough. I've had a cracking day. Not to rain on someone's parade, but it's just been a good day. So imagine that, like, you're just watching this, and you're seeing some dudes flying around in a helicopter shooting at a doggo. Hmm. I mean, that dog's having the time of his life. Just like, because those are the type of dogs that are just like, you have to fight them to stop them from running. It's like it's coded in their genes. It's like you put them on the snow and they are gone. Like they're not quite huskies, but that kind of, you know, they got like husky genes for want of a better term. And it's like one of my mates used to have one of those dogs, and he says he absolutely loves it, but dear God, trying to get it to come back from a run is next to impossible. Like once they go, they are gone. I mean, that's one good thing. You're never going to want for ice in that place. Chess wizard. Oh, you know, I said there was like a bit of CGI at the beginning. This is it. This is the CGI I was talking about. Everything else is practical effects. Yes, maybe some stop motion stuff, but all physical. Actually, what I'm impressed with is the audio on that computer to be able to speak like that. And this is using pre-recorded snippets. Oh, none. You just destroyed a computer that probably cost thousands and thousands of dollars to get there. But I think one thing that I do like about this, not just the horror stuff and the effects, is that the way that these people are acting feels realistic. Like, you have the smart person, you have the person who's a complete nitwit, you have the paranoid person, you have all the other stuff going on as well. It's believable. I mean, obviously, you know, the scenario is ridiculous. Again, it's sci-fi. Turn that part of your brain off. But yeah, I would love to visit Antarctica. I'm not want to stay there, but you know, I want to go when it's at least maybe like -5 or something like that. But just, you know, just to say I've been. But I would definitely have to get some of those sort of glasses, because otherwise, because apparently that is one of the big things, is that when the sun comes up, Antarctica is incredibly bright. Like, because all the sunlight reflects off the snow and the mountains, and the atmosphere there is very, very slightly thinner as well. So it's like, yeah, you need sunglasses when you go to that place, or you will go blind. Yeah, that dog's so happy. It's just like, so I'm just picturing it. So it's like, right, so not go. We're going to put you here, and you're going to run over there, and you'll get all the treats you can handle. And that's all I've got to do is just run. Well, there might be a bit of a boom, but you'll be all right. Sweet. Yeah, I think I could handle the cold. You know, give myself like an extra few jumpers or something like that. Yeah, I think I could handle the cold more than I could handle the heat. Oops. You don't even need to understand Norwegian to understand that's a you idiot. And I think it's those glasses, like the ones with the little slits on them, they work very, very well. It's like, what was it? Uh, oh, what are they called? I don't want to say the E word, because that's basically a derogatory word now. Um, so I'm going to say the Northern Native people, because I can't think what their proper name is, have those made out of like whale bones and stuff like that. And you think, why does it have proper glasses? Where are you going to get glass from in the freaking North Pole? but apparently they work really, really well. Nope, he's dead, Jim. That's the one. I couldn't think what it was. Thank you. Yes, Inuits. Yeah, not. I know it's not the E word because that, like I say, that's yeah, but that's a word that's been used in a very, very derogatory way. Look at that! It's such a good boy. Good, good doggo. Yeah. Yep. And you've just had a helicopter explode. Ooh. I mean, well done, but still. Ooh. Yeah. Mm. I mean that is kind of a legitimate thing. You know, you're stuck in a place like that, and especially if it's that time of the year when the sun's up for like 24 hours a day, that can drive you into mental problems. Yeah, at least they have an internet connection now. Yeah, and if I remember correctly, the whole thing of Antarctica as well is that it's considered kind of neutral territory in that no one country can like lay claim to it and stuff like that. Like you can do research, you can do you know that kind of thing, studying the animals, sure, but you can't mine it for resources or stuff like that. The Antarctica Treaty, bane of flat earthers. Oh yes, yes. Which somebody okay, slight tangent. I'm going to talk over them for a little bit. Well, from my point of view, talking over them, where there's a flat Earth conspiracy where if you fly a helicopter to Antarctica, all you can see are, the frozen wall that surrounds the world. Yeah, see, Antarctica's huge. It is a continent. You keep flying, all you're going to see is frozen mountains when you fly around it. Yeah, exactly. It's the so-called ice wall. It would be the same as like someone flying up to Dover and thinking, England is surrounded by, and Scotland obviously, and Wales is surrounded by walls of chalk. Like, no, no, that's not how it works, you dumb butt. Ugh. But yeah, there are people who believe that. Now, granted, some sci-fi stories do use that as the inspiration, but yeah, it's a story. It doesn't present itself as fact. Now, one of my old sci-fi stories I've read a long, long time ago is underneath Antarctica, and is basically Atlantis and frozen. Stargate does a version of that as well. Absolutely brilliant, completely cheesy, but it doesn't pretend to be real. It's just like, where are we going to hide on this planet a small city with advanced defenses to protect the Earth? Antarctica is the perfect location for it. So yeah, if you, it's one of the few really desolate places left on the earth because the weather's kind of dangerous. Certain times of the year, it's completely remote. It's not something you can easily get to. If you fudge up there, you are on your own. So it's a great location for this kind of thing to happen. Yeah, so any food, anything like that, has to be brought with you or brought in by a supply plane or helicopter. But apparently, from all accounts, from what I've seen, like documentaries of people who actually are stationed there for like the things, the food quality that is sent to people in Antarctica is generally pretty good because you want it to be good, so because you don't want people to get ill there. Because if they get ill, you're in trouble. Which again, perfect location for a film like this, somewhere isolated, and it's literally an entire continent-sized location. Well, that's a bit sus. And look at that. It's stunningly beautiful. It is literally an ocean of ice and snow. Just the mountains popping up here and there. And the fact is, like, now here's a fun fact: Antarctica is a desert. A shiny gold star if you can understand why it is classed as a desert. It's one a lot of people get the answer wrong to. Because it's not what people think. But yes. Why is Antarctica classed as a desert? I suppose the North Pole as well. Correct. I'm not going to read it out loud, but yes, give yourself a pat on the back. It is. It is that. That is the reason. I know some people think it's to do with sand. It's not. Is it? Exactly, yeah. I remember my geography. The only reason why, to be fair, the only reason why I remember this is because I was doing a project a few months back that was to do with deserts, and I kept saying, why is Antarctica classified as a desert? Because it was showing different examples, like famous deserts, the Sahara. Yeah, makes sense. Antarctica. Wait, what? Looked further into it. It explained it. I'm like, oh yeah. So yeah, it's. Mm, it's that. Oh, that's a lot of that's a lot of ketchup on that axe there. So obviously, the prequel film I was talking to before basically leads up to this point. Well, actually leads up to the point with the yeah, it leads up to this point. Yeah, it leads up to this point, and it's worth a watch. Just like I say, it's more sci-fi leaning than horror leaning, but worth it. Like, and this has been rated as like what 8.2 out of 10 on IMDb, and I think the other ones are rated as 7ish or something, 6.5, 7ish, which for a sci-fi film on IMDb is okay. And this is a sci-fi horror film, so I think actually there's only been two sci-fi horror films that I've really. Oh, that is. Yeah, this is all practical effects again, remember. Done very, very well. That is creepy. And that shows you how cold it can get there. Yeah, that is done so freaking well. Now, my other favourite sci-fi horror film, um, this is one of them. The other one is Event Horizon. That's a messed up film. Does have Sam Neill in it though. Very good. And Lawrence Fishburne. Now, I'm trying to remember if that's like the real snow stuff, or if this is a test case of how CGI versus practical isn't even the straight. Yeah, again, this is actually one of these films I don't think needs to be remade. Remastered? Yes. Remade? No. 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 Some films are classics for a reason, and this is one of them. Like Back to the Future. I love Back to the Future, one of my favourite sci-fi films of all time, but I would shank someone if they tried to remake it. Remaster? Yeah. And the CGI, well, sorry, the lack of CGI, I should say, in this is one of the reasons why it stands the test of time. Oh, I just thought like this in a remastered 4K glory would be horrifying. Even the 50s thing. Yeah, that's it. I'm trying to remember, there was one before. Yeah, there was a like there was a lot of films that came out in the 50s, like the horror type films, nowhere near the level like we have now. But even just seeing like, you know, that, what do you call it, chunk of ice with that, what was, you immediately know that there was something straight away in there. There you go. See, thank you, Basil Exposition. Something at a barbecue. Yeah. So, as I was saying before, Del Toro, I think he is probably one of the few who could pull off, like him and his team, could pull off a version of the Mountains of Madness, because he did say that he loved this, he really enjoyed this film, and that if he ever did get a chance to make it, and he was in talks to make it, that he would be drawing some inspiration from this film because of, you know, how much he enjoys it and how he thinks it was just such a well done film. Now, of course, it'll be closer to the, At the Mountains of Madness, the original story, but the thing, and this one was based off of that, just given a little bit of a sci-fi twist. When I say based off it, I mean loosely based off of it. Just because of the location and the things, and oh, that is whiffy. Meanwhile, David Cronenberg's taking notes. God, look at that. That literally looks like it is steaming. Yeah. Like, you see everyone's reactions. Like, one person's going, somebody else is like, ooh. Somebody else is, nah, get that away from me. That is horrifying. Now, I like to think I've got a reasonably strong stomach when it comes to horror films. Like I said, it's one of my favourite genres. But this is one of the few films that, even though I've watched this multiple times, still unsettles me when you see things like this, because my brain is telling me that thing's physically real. That's not a CGI enhanced thing. That is somebody, or a team of somebody's, have said, look at that. That is just some messed up David Cronenberg level stuff right there. But it looks goopy. It looks physically real. I am not disparaging CGI. Decent CGI looks friggin' amazing. The problem is, as viewing technology advances, CGI looks dated. That's not a fault CGI, that is just, as our monitors, as our screens improve, you're going to notice those little tweaks here and there a lot more. It's like when you watch like 8-bit games when you were a kid, they looked amazing, but then you look at them now on a modern monitor, they look really bad because they were designed with that sort of thing in mind, pun intended, that sort of monitor in mind. And it's the same for CGI stuff. Whereas practical effects, I mean, look at that. That looks freaking real. Like, there's another scene as well, minor spoiler if you haven't seen the Alien films, with the face hugger and the egg. Yeah, you know the scene I'm talking about. Oh, ugh. Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, those are either real organs or they're stunt organs. I'm probably inclined towards them being stunt organs, mainly mainly because of filming lights and things like that can make things go. And you got the whole issue with, shall we say, dead bodies. So yeah, it's what was it? They can use stuff that looks real, and it's like, yeah, you put some of this gunk on top of. Oh wow, look at that VHS recorder. Oh wow, that thing is like bigger than. Yeah, looking at my computer tower, that's the size of. It's like turn it on its side, it's about the same size, and that's a big That's a big amount of the devil's lettuce right there. I wonder how much it would have cost them to actually import that jukebox. Yeah, that was a big boy. What they would refer to this part of the world as a Camden carrot. Okay, so as I said before, there are some disturbing scenes in this film. One of them's coming up. Now, normally I don't do, like I say, I don't do spoilers, but it is because this is a scene that can be quite upsetting to some people. And it still makes me a bit uneasy to watch. So I think it's this scene, but that's such a beautiful dog. I say I'm a cat person normally, but if I'm visiting a friend or whatever and they've got a dog, yeah, I'm playing with the dog straight away. Yep. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that is disturbing. That is very unpleasant to look at. So yeah, a bit of stop motion, sure, but I'm not a fan of stuff being done to animals. Humans, I don't care. Man, it makes me laugh sometimes in films. But to animals, that's a yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all practical work. Now, I know intellectually that what they probably did, they probably just sort of. Yeah, the dog's like, no, we are not staying in there with that abomination. So, brother, get the flamer. Of the heavy flamer. Oh, definitely, yeah, some stop motion stuff, but the stop motion is still practical. And you could kind of tell that the legs were a little bit on the janky side, and it wasn't moving naturally, but in many ways, I think that added to things because it makes it look like that's not moving like a normal living creature would. No, it wouldn't. I remember that. So, yes, get the flamethrower, brother. The heavy flamer. Don't know what it is, but the dogs are freaking the fudge out. Yeah. That is disgusting and well horrifying. And so slimy. Oh. Yeah. Now, I know how they did that particular. Yeah, that. Mm. Honestly, I think that was a mercy. Oh, it's the sounds that go with it. Yeah, well, what would you do? You're like, what the expletive? Yes. Oh, the eye. Oh, that's disgusting. If in doubt, fire. Yeah, and honestly, that I think is probably one of the few scenes in this, in generally in horror that genuinely unsettles me to the point where it's like, ugh. Rest of the film I'm fine with, but that scene. But I know why they put it in there. It's to show them what the fudge they just brought into their own base. Again, you look at everyone's reactions. You know, you've got McCready there who's like, holy. Breaking a bit of lobster. Oh, it's so goopy. Oh. Love it. Yeah. Now, I like to think I'm not one of these people who, has sometimes, and it can happen sometimes. You can watch a film and you can be like, ugh, you know, part of you feel like it's going to be real, which is one of the reasons why some people don't get on with horror films. That's perfectly understandable. Like I say, I have a friend who absolutely loves psychological horror, but she cannot watch films like Hellraiser and stuff like this because it just freaks her out. I would never in a million years offer to watch them with this because I know that. That's the thing about horror films. If you're going to be a fan of these things, you do not show you do not show your friends stuff that is on their no list because that's a dick move. Now, of course, if they turn around to you and go, Chris, I want a good body horror film. Can you recommend me anything? Oh, then you can have as much fun as you want. But if they don't. Assimilate them, you might say. Like a biological version of the BYOC. God, that is... Oh. You know somebody's got that as a prop at their home somewhere. Good doggo. Yeah, poor pups are freaked out. Hmm. Now the paranoia's starting. This is why I love this film. It's that everybody gets justifiably paranoid. And this dude's probably the smartest guy on the base. He's not figured it out, but you can just tell that there's something in his brain going, yeah, this ain't good. So yeah, this is like I say the other film. It's fairly recent-ish. It's basically the Norwegian side of things. Mm-hmm. Something's been there for quite a while to be buried under that much ice. Oh yes. That's pretty fast winds, especially in a helicopter. Yeah. I mean, it is an absolutely stunningly beautiful location. And I would love to visit there. But no, I would not want to stay there for more than like a day or two. Weeks tops, depending upon what's going on. Just so I can go to this southern geographic pole and have a giggle. Not the magnetic south, because I think that's like, because there's three main poles. There's the magnetic, there's the geographic, and then there's what's it called? The rotational pole, which around the Earth spins around. Basically, what one the Earth spins around its axis on. Hmm. Isn't that spaceship we saw at the beginning? I think one of the, remember correctly, there. I want to say Alien versus Predator, the first one, um, has a concept where they find something in Antarctica buried under the ice and all that other, all the other stuff. Again, not a bad film. Not my favourite of the Alien franchise, but not a bad film. Not everyone's cup of tea. But I enjoyed it. Excuse me. Besides which, we all know that at the North Pole, that is where Santa and Superman live. Yeah, that's like roughly as old as humanity as a species. Or say Homo sapiens, I should say, not humanity. Look how blue that is. Is it? Is it it? Is it it? I thought it was Keith David. I thought I recognised that guy. As soon as he's Palmer. As soon as he said the voodoo bullshit, it just clicked. Keith Mother David. Thought I recognised him. Been a while since I've seen this film. Obviously, Kurt Russell. I mean, Kurt Russell. I completely forgot he was in this. Well, if it was thousands of years in the ice and they brought it to the surface, maybe because warmer? They'd accidentally defrosted it? Yeah. Blair's got access to the second brain cell. Or at the very least, he is like, I am not liking this. Hey, this is the other bit of CGI I was talking about as well. Like, see, a simulation, like a biological Borg. And yes, this is where the Borg in Star Trek got the idea of the whole nanites and stuff from, to assimilate people. Granted, it didn't have the whole biological nonsense that this thing has, but as a concept, it's freaking terrifying. Your body taken over one cell at a time, cell by cell by cell. And it's exponential as well. One cell becomes two, two becomes four, four becomes eight. Yeah, that shit doubles up really freaking quick. There's a whole proverb about exponential growth and rice. It's very good. Oh, I miss those keyboards. I mean, I've got a more sort of clacky keyboard myself, but I don't miss the CRT monitors. But those old style keyboards just feel good to type on. They really do. Yeah, CRT monitors, no. Especially the old burn. Especially the whole burning and things like that. But the typing on those big chunky proper keyboards. Oh, yeah, I like a mechanical keyboard. That's what I've got here. They're a little bit more expensive these days, but they are worth the investment. They will last you probably twice as long as a membrane keyboard. That's what they're called. I know there's a lot of consumption of the alcohol in this place, and other substances, if you know what I'm talking about. Which, in a place like this, is very understandable. What do you do? I think it's when he says it's 40 below, I think that's roughly near that weird temperature at minus like Celsius and Fahrenheit, where they're almost the same. It's just because of the weird, the way the different scales work. Ugh. So yeah, there is a point in the minus numbers, and I think it's around minus 40, where Fahrenheit lines up with Celsius. So yeah, it's survivable. You can deal with it, but it's always not fun. It's when you have the cold combined with the snow, combined with the wind, combined with the bright light, combined with the, you touch a bit of metal and you're now stuck to it. Ugh, it's defrosting. Dude, it's defrosting. Ugh, that's so well done. I mean, again, intellectually, I know how it was done. You just get some like jello type component, put it in there, and just let it gloop. Oh, does it look like blood defrosting? Love this film. But Blair's paranoia glands kicking into overdrive. There's a hypothesis that some people use that the alien that crashed was fleeing a dying world. Like, hmm, like it wasn't the thing when it started off. It became the thing in transit, sort of thing. And that's one of the reasons why it crashed on Earth, was because it's like, I'm going down, I'm going down. Okay, there's a planet over there with no advanced technology on it. I'm going to crash there. They'll be all right. Not knowing that it was just before the dawn of humanity. Oh, that's unpleasant. So, yeah, that's a hypothesis I agree with. That the whole it decided to crash on Earth because it couldn't detect any advanced life forms. Little did they know. But you don't want that shit getting out into the universe. There he goes. And look how quick it was able to assimilate Bennings. I imagine the more complex the organism, the longer it will take. Yeah. Yeah, dude's infected. Look how quick it was. It did it. Yeah, that's a screw that, take off nuclear site from orbit, give me exterminatus, hell no moment. Yeah, like I said, get the flamer, the heavy flamer. Yeah, not it. Yeah, like I say, all these all their reactions are brilliant. You got the guy who's upset and panicking; he just saw his friend die. You've got McCready going, "I'll have my panic attack later." You've got everyone just like reacting as you would expect people to react in this sort of situation. So I applaud everybody who worked on this film. And you know what? This is actually a pretty smart move, what they're doing. There's very few things on this planet, at least, that can survive being burnt alive. Very few things. If they can survive that, yeah. Yeah. Whenever someone goes missing, it's like paranoia. Shapeshifters, changelings, things like that are great for horror films when you don't actually need to show. I mean, again, possible spoiler for one of the seasons of Deep Space Nine. They have a changeling plotline, and everybody gets so paranoid it's terrifying. And then you find out there's something like only one or two changelings around, and they cause almost a quadrant-wide panic because of the paranoia. Spoilers over. Yeah, there was a whole thing as well where you know, kind of connected to autism as well. And this will make sense. Just trust me on this one. How when kids were growing up and like to say like Victorian Edwardian time, there would be kids who would what we would now call to be autistic. But there was a whole thing about them being changelings, how they were, humans who had been taken by the Fae and replaced with identical copies. Complete BS, but it was a conspiracy theory, basically, a Yodi conspiracy theory. And yeah, fear does things to the people's brain. Fear and paranoia. Fear and paranoia and a fanatical devotion to the Pope. Sorry, Monty Python reference. But yeah, fear and paranoia are great for horror films. And that's, again, going back to Alien, where, specifically the first Alien, and there was only one Xeno going around the ship. Everybody was getting edgy and paranoid about it because, they didn't know where it was going to be or what it could do. I love that stuff. Not all the time. It's not my favourite genre. Oh, hello. You could have maybe jumped out of my freaking skin just a minute ago. Hello. Fuzzball. Hi. You come to protect me? I mean, to be fair, Blair's got the right idea. He's just going about it the wrong way. Sorry. I have somebody demanding cuddles. One moment. You want to cuddle, don't you? Yes. Okay. Yes, you do. Okay. Simba. You're shedding again. Hi. As I say, yeah, he's got the right idea. He's just, unfortunately, making it. Yeah, his paranoia is through the roof. Oh, oh! Spot the fakes. Foley that, well, not fake Foley work there. Somebody being hit. Oh dear, but it's 1982. Okay, I'm not complaining. I just find it adds to the charm, doesn't it? Yes, I I know. Oh, and that's the thing when you're the person in charge of the animals and stuff like that, that they basically become like your fuzzy babies. I know. Yeah, you just went completely wibbly in the computer room and started to break everything, and then you shot at Childs. So yeah, yeah. Smirnoff. Mm. Yeah. See? Fear and paranoia. Oh yeah, at least they're leaving him some vodka. Also, the speed at which everyone just goes full paranoia. Great. There's very little faffing around in this film. Like, and for me, faffing around is when they do background stuff that's not really relevant. You don't need it in this film. Bunch of dudes working at Antarctica outpost. Weird doggo turns up. Poop meets air circulation device. That's all you need. You don't know their backgrounds, their family. It's not important. See? Yeah. Charles is asking the right question. And I like that the commander's immediately, that's a good idea. Boom, here's the keys. Doesn't spend ages debating over it. Like, yeah, good idea. We need the blood. Yeah. See, McCready's being practical. No, he can't trust that Blair's not being assimilated, as Charles said. How would you know if it was a perfect imitation? Oh, that's a pick. That's a pickle. Paranoia. This is great for this. So, see, for me, if you were ever going to run a game based on psychological horror, this is the template I would use. Right, for cranking up the tension, for manipulating the characters, not the players, the characters. There you go, the infighting. Hello. Hi. Hello. Hello. Come on. Sorry, somebody's getting she wants cuddles. Come on, if you want cuddles, get on my lap. There you go. Yeah, see, McCready's got a good head on him. Yeah. Hi. Oops, sorry. If you hear a sort of smacking noise on the mic, that's just a cat's tail hitting the microphone. She does that sometimes. Mm. Yeah, you are definitely getting a bit. Your winter coat is starting, isn't it? You yeah, okay. Mm. Yeah, and technically speaking, although you would never have thought this being a sort of situation where you would have a chain of command sort of thing. So if the first, the captain's taken out, who would be the first officer sort of thing? But you wouldn't need to have that kind of protocol you would expect on a Antarctica research base. Hey. Mm-hmm. So I said, very little faffing around in this. Nobody's alone. Nobody. Yeah, there's definitely some like, even if nobody was assimilated or infected, you can't afford to take the chance. Yeah, I think when the storm's hitting that area, because it's really flat, the storms are like way more powerful because there's nothing really stopping them apart from relatively small mountains. I say relatively small, which is there's like miles of ice and stuff they have to deal with as well. So without that, there would be like normal mountains, but in Antarctica they seem small, but we're just seeing the top bits. And because of that, relatively speaking, Antarctica is flat-ish. Makes, like I say, the storms dangerous. Yeah, should definitely have a rule of nobody is left alone. Oh, careful, dangerous. Yeah, I mean that's yeah, that's actually no good logic. Unpleasant, but better than the worst case scenario. Okay. Oh dear. You all right? You got a bit of fluff on your nose. Okay. Oof. Jeez. If I wasn't holding onto the cat, I think I would have jumped about half a mile just then. Okay. All right. See, you're here to protect me, aren't you? Greedy. Oh, are you sitting there? Okay. You can sit there if you want. I want to go with you. I mean, it's not a perfect system because no system is perfect, but probably the best you've got. Hello. What's the matter? Oh, that's ominous. Yeah, yeah, you did just see what you think you just saw. Yep, there it is again. I like that they don't draw attention to it. Like, it's literally right in there in front of both of them. You can't miss it. But they don't turn around and go, what the flip's that? Yeah, again, there's a hypothesis about I've read about that particular scene and that what Blair was about to do, or at least seriously thinking about it. Show, don't tell. Ugh, that's an unpleasant thought. Burning alive is not quick. Hmm. Hmm. But the lights are on. Hmm. Come on. You can't sit there all the time. Come on. There you go. Good cat. Yep, Charles is right. Because they did say 20 minutes. It's been twice that. You see how. Hmm. That's not suspicious at all. Fear and paranoia in Antarctica. The unofficial sequel to Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Starting to see parallels with the what happened in the Norwegian base. Oh, look, sparkling candles. That could be a boom. Oh, oh, he's gone. We should have been doing from the beginning, but you know, people being people. Yep. Giblets are frozen. As I said, the paranoia and the fear is just like, oh, off the charts, but it's so good. I like this scene. It's disgusting, but I like it. That's so goopy, but it's again, all practical effects, remember. That is disgusting. I mean, it is absolutely but it's done so well. I can't help but be impressed with it. And this is what can give people nightmares. This thing here. Pun intended. You can see now why I gave those disclaimers and warnings at the beginning. I don't know. I don't know why. It just seemed like in the background just makes me laugh because it's just so understated until he turns around and goes, "What the?" You don't mess with Keith David. Oops. That's gonna leave a bruise. I'm not saying you can do what now. Oh, you said it again. Which is pretty terrifying. This is actually pretty genius level thinking. I mean, technically, when someone bleeds, it's blood, but you know, McCready's not a doctor, but he's got the right idea. was gonna. Oh, there you are. Hello. Once again, in Deep Space Nine, there is a reference to this scene, specifically the blood. Hi. Hi. Come here, you. You want hugs, don't you? You're very huggy tonight, aren't you? I'm not complaining. I'm just wondering why. Yes, I love you too. Yes, the fuzzball's being very cuddly tonight. Excuse me. Everyone's sphincter clenches. Oh dear. You need to close the dude's eyes. I mean, he's got a point. Well, that proves it works. Oops. Oh, oh dear. Oh, oh, you. God, imagine you're tied down and next to that. So, what time for the flamethrower to not work? Yeah, that's some horror right there. I hope that stuntman got paid a lot because being set on fire is one of the more dangerous stunts you can do. And then he exploded. Oh. Yeah, see how fast that assimilates and converts. It's basically biological nanites. Ah, I'm hoping you did. Now, again, fair play to Charles. He does turn around and like admit it's like, okay, yeah, this technique works. And then of course, yeah, that's a fair response. Yeah. Everyone's just turning around like, "Oh, you're the last one, boss." Again, fair response. I think another thing I've just realised as well is that I think, with the exception of towards the beginning and the intro sequence, there's no music. No, to sort of set the mood or anything like that. Or if there is, it's very little. Like, it's kept to a minimum. When I say music, I'm talking about like having like background stuff going on, like with that scene and other bits and pieces. I know how some films can be good, but they have too much music playing. Sometimes less is more. And any good horror film should show the creature, whatever it is, as sparingly as possible, so your brain fills in the blanks, because that will be more terrifying to you than actually showing the creature. Again, they just breeze past the fact that there was a noose there. Oh, that's an issue. Yeah, I would not be going down there without a flamethrower. That'd be the first thing going on. Oh, that's interesting. What does that look like? So obviously this thing is has some kind of intelligence to it, able to tell me about that. Yeah, a little bit of music, not all the time, when it needs it. But if it's able to do that and impart that information onto the new version, the new iteration, or the new thing, whatever you want to call it, that shows it has some kind of genetic memory. And yeah, that is worrying. Because if this thing has gone, Tyranid style from galaxy to galaxy, from system to system, planet to planet, does lead credence to the hypothesis that this Earth was chosen because at the time there was no advanced technology on the planet. It just obviously was not foreseen or had any way of knowing that some rather intelligent chimp-like creatures had just evolved to be sapient, for want of a better term. Which is not exactly how it happened, but, you know, dramatic license. Yeah, because this thing is smart. Yeah, it can survive cold. It's not a fan of the heat. Yeah, they wouldn't be able to take the helicopter because it would probably freeze, and the propellers and the petrol fuel would not like it. So I have to go check something. And you think about a lot of these scenes as well, especially where things are blowing up. These aren't really scenes you can repeat. So we do these last. I mean, granted, there's a bit of Foley work going on there. See, now I'm not entirely sure if I could be. If I'm brutally honest, if I could go through with the plan like what they're going, it's like, yeah, we can't let this thing leave because it would be a major problem. You know, we're going to die here. But you never know how you're going to handle those sort of situations, excuse me, until you're in the middle of it. And which is why I keep coming back to my whole thing earlier about how everyone's reactions in this are believable to me. I mean, yes, exaggerated for filmic effect and stuff like that, sure. But yeah, some people are going to panic. Some people are going to get angry. Others are just going to be completely stoic and hyper focused. It just sort of makes sense. So yeah, if you're going to die, you might as well take that beastie with you. Especially now the generator's gone. Your giblets are going to be frozen. You know, just like I say, even watching this film, you can just feel the tension building up. Oof, oh, Christ almighty. I forgot about that bit. Tell me about tension. Oh, 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 that's. Yep, yeah, he's, Blair's been in. No, that's not Blair. I mean, that's obvious. Oh, that. Ooh. Subtle, but very unpleasant. Well, subtle. Quick, I should say. Not subtle. Yeah, that's not sound you want to hear. Oh, wow. I haven't seen those types of detonators in a long time. The whole push ones. I mean, they're functional. That's the thing. They work. Right. You start looking into the shadows and seeing things that aren't there. It's like, nope. Like, mine now. Yeah, Cronenberg is definitely watching this at some point and going, ooh. Now, I'm a fan of Warhammer 40k. Some people have said that the thing is basically a chaos spawn. I can see that. Oh, that must have been such a cool thing to see. Like, I mean, that's not something you can repeat. So you've got to get it right first go. Right. Just imagine, right? You're just some, I don't know, other random expedition just like walking around and you see that in the distance. You're like, yeah, no, that's, no, no. I haven't comment to make about this scene, but I'll wait until it's over. I mean, you did anyway, so yeah. What do you do? Okay, I'll grab some of that vodka and just get completely blongoed. That's what I'd do. I think if I knew I was going to end in that sort of situation, I'd find the alcohol stash and get out of my skull. That and find the big boy from earlier. You know what I mean? Okay, right. So I can say what I was going to mention earlier. Now, this may have been done deliberately. This may have been a happy little accident, as Bob Ross would say. But there was something very important that was missing from Childs at the end there. It may have been deliberate. It may not. It could just be one of those things. But you noticed towards the end how every time MacReady was breathing out, we saw his face. There was the condensation of his hot breath coming out and stuff like that. It wasn't for Childs. Make of that what you will. Now, I like it when they do that because it's kept at just ambiguous enough to make you think, wait a minute. Why isn't his... Yeah, it's got that kind of... Again, it could just be one of those, maybe where Childs was standing because of the lighting and stuff like that. Maybe his area was just warm enough, or cold enough, and he wasn't, he wasn't breathing out as heavily as, say, Kurt Russell's character, MacReady. So there wasn't as much condensation. It could just be one of those, like I say, happy little accidents from a design point of view. But what if it wasn't? This is one of the things that if this film would come out now and did as well as it did, that would be a scene I think people would be like fixating on, because there wasn't, whilst there were things like bulletin boards and film clubs and things like that, it's nowhere near to the level of the internet we have now. It would take like sort of half an hour to log on to the internet sort of thing. Even then, very very, it was literally just like posting basic messages and stuff like that. It was nowhere like the web we have now. But yeah, I definitely subscribe to the theory that Childs was assimilated. Now, again, I do not want that to be proven one way or the other, which is why I do not want this to be remade. Because if they remade this, they would make it, the studio executives or things like that would interfere, and they would turn around and be like, yeah, let's make it a little bit more obvious, or let's not keep it so ambiguous and stuff like that. We're just going to be doing our thing. Or the subtlety, I think, would be lost. But it gives you, for me, anyway, it gives you just enough to make you think, wait, is this just like, a sort of weird quirk of the way the film was made, or was that deliberate? And I fucking love that it is kept ambiguous and you to decide. And there's no, oh, he gets away scot-free, or everything else like this. No, they're both going to die. But the question is, are they both human, or is Childs a simulated shoggoth, basically? Right. Okay. So that's me done for tonight. We'll be returning with more Fallout 4 and crowd control next week. I have found a couple of mods I am tempted to try. However, because they are quite largest mods and they could cause issues, I am going to have to sort of do some research into it, because I do not want to balk things up. And I could balk things up. So I'm gonna see how things go. I will say that if I do balk things up, there is, on I think it's the 25th of this month, the full version of Hades 2 is out. Excuse me. Now, I've had the pre-release game on here before to play, so I may, if I completely walk this up, I may just basically play Hades 2 again, because I've freaking really enjoyed that game for multiple reasons. Just trying to think of what else, but that's a backup plan if things do go bad. It does seem like this. I've got the name here. I'll tell people what it is. It's called the Sim Settlements mod, and essentially you pop down various things and they will start to build up the settlement. And whilst I will be primarily focusing, like I said yesterday, on Sanctuary, I will maybe go to that big, like, what do you call it, the drive-through cinema place. Maybe do something there. But the problem is, if I install this, there is a chance it could completely balk my save, and I don't really want to do that. So I'm gonna have to do some research, maybe sort of see if I can find, maybe newer versions and more, or if there's any compatibility patches. I'm not going to install anything yet. I'm going to do it. If I do it, it'll be towards the end of the month, because I want to get at least a few more session playthroughs for Fallout 4, because I'm really freaking enjoying that. Speaking of crowd control and Hades, I do believe that where is it? Let's see if I can find it. I think one of the Hades games is compatible with crowd control. I think it might be the first one. So I'm just going to have a quick look on their site now and look on the PC filter. I mean, there's Borderlands 3. I mean, Borderlands 4 is coming out, but my machine can't run that. So I might install Borderlands 3 if that happens, and I completely balk it. There's Minecraft. I can't find where my save's gone. Skyrim, but I don't want to go with another Bethesda game right away, straight after Fallout. There's, what other ones have I got? Baldur's Gate, which is on which is quite an interesting one. I am a great fan of Baldur's Gate. Although that's a long one. I'm gonna have to sort of, commit to that one if I do it. There's Stardew Valley. Not sure if that's compatible with multiplayer, that one though, because of the way the game works. Obviously Fallout 4. There's the RimWorld. If I restart RimWorld, I will probably have to do. I've been trying to get my old saves working again, and yeah, then RimWorld's not a bad game, but it takes too long to load, even with the most basic of mods. So I might, if I do, I won't be playing RimWorld with this one, just because good game, takes too long to load. There's also as well Deep Rock Galactic. I don't have that, but it's one that's been on my radar for a while. It's supposed to be quite good fun. What else have they got? Obviously Skyrim, as I just said, that's the other one. There is it's Hades 1, not Hades 2, sorry. There's also the Dark Souls one, but I don't play the Dark Souls one. They're too difficult for me. Fun to watch, can't play them. And what else? There's Subnautica. I think I may have Subnautica. I'll have to check on that one. But again, I'll have a look. And seriously, just go. I'm just going to post it in chat. It's basically it. This is the games. Obviously, filter it for whatever platform you want, and I can thoroughly recommend using it if you're a streamer, because it is great fun. It's ripe for shenanigans and tomfoolery, which is right up my alley. So I'm going to say goodnight. And I will be back next week with some more, as I say, Fallout 4, and hopefully if I don't balk it. And yeah, I'll see people then. Have a good weekend.